Ready?
Yep.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Give her 10 seconds or whatever it is.
You should do that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order on May 12th, 2026. And I would ask Supervisor Campbell to lead me in the pledge.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. We will now move into our next item of business, call to the public. Anyone out there want to address?
Jean Swanison, work part-time for engineering, and I just wanted to say that I've had to use IT quite a bit recently, and I think it's a real thankless job. So I wanted to thank them publicly for the help they give me and the patience they show me in my technophobia at times, and especially trying to get my computer, which is almost as behind as I am, up to date, and not trying to do that until I get the Community Wildfire Protection Plan signed, sealed, and delivered. And along those same lines, the other technological thing, I've been working with the GIS guy for doing the maps for the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, and it has just been amazing to see the kinds of things that appear out of GIS. Even though you've been writing on the thing for 3 years, you suddenly realize that the Blue Road is just as dead. It has just a dead end as does the Eagle Creek Road. So putting things on the maps and working with him has been real interesting, and I wanted to thank them both, even though he's not right here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Okay. No one else is here, so we'll move into our next item of business. The Public Health Service District, the Board of Supervisors will convene as the Board of Directors of the Greeley County Public Health Service District and will reconvene as the Board of Supervisors following consideration of this next item, consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
And I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. We will now reconvene as the Board of Supervisors and we'll move into our next item of business, the Flood Control District. Board of Supervisors will convene as the Board of Directors of the Greeley County Flood Control District and will reconvene as the Board of Supervisors following consideration of this next item, consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
And I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. We will now reconvene as the Board of Supervisors and we will move into our next item of business. Justine Holguin, Fair Director, the floor is yours.
Good morning, supervisors.
Morning.
Thank you for having me. So I wanted to talk about moving forward with surrendering the liquor license held at the fairgrounds. Last July, I presented the possibility of discontinuing the fairgrounds held liquor license and contracting it out to a nonprofit group. At the conclusion of that meeting, we had decided we would use the 2025 county fair as a trial run to see how that went. Overall, I feel that it was very successful. The Lions Club did a wonderful job managing bar operations. From my perspective, there were no issues or incidents related to alcohol during the fair. Law enforcement did not report any incidents related to alcohol consumption as well. They did an awesome job with ID checks. I know even if individuals appeared of age, they were still making them go get their license to have that proof of ID. As far as internal operations, I spoke to some employees who had helped with the bar services in previous years. Overall, they said that it was a huge weight lifted off their shoulders from the liquor inventory responsibilities, cash balancing, end of night reconciliation, and the overall workload, because our facilities wasn't having to continuously go and refill the bins with alcohol and change out the ice and all the good stuff that comes along with it. I spoke to several Morenci Lions Club members, and overall, they were very pleased. There were minor adjustments. It was my first year doing that and their first year. So I think as far as them, I think it was more they ordered too much water or maybe too much buns or, something aside from the bar services. But they were very pleased with the profit that they made, and they were comfortable and expressed interest in coming back to do it again, hopefully in future years. So moving forward, I would like your permission to go ahead and move forward with discontinuing the liquor license. I wanted to remind you that this does not prevent the county from being able to apply for a special event license if we are wanting to have that control over bar services. And it still allows private renters coming in to have alcohol on the grounds, given that they have the proper alcohol coverage on their event insurance. As of right now, we do have the ROI posted for the 2026 county fair, but with your permission, I would like to move forward with discontinuing the license.
Okay, I have a question. Did you give them all the responsibility to buy the inventory that they needed to sell and stuff? It wasn't we're not buying the liquor and all that.
Our hands were totally out. I think the only thing, I gave them a passcode to the door and the Wi-Fi password. And other than that, I personally didn't even hear from them. There was no issues. It was easy. It was very easy.
Okay, so that was all on them. Well, that's
Yes,
good. Because
everything.
if it wasn't that way, I was gonna suggest that maybe we would go down that path. But I mean, if it ain't broken, why fix it?
No.
That's my comment.
No, I agree. I just had one question. So I just want to, so the county doesn't have to have any type of a liquor license because it's our facility. We are issuing, so that's where I'm thinking, liability wise as being our facility. If we are granting them the ability in some way to a special, whatever you called it. Anyway, but we don't need to have anything at all, even though that it's our facility, that they can sell on our facility if they have the liquor license, right?
That's correct. In terms of managing the liability on it, obviously if we did something affirmative or we were grossly negligent in how they, let's say for example, Lions Club had run this into the ground and gave alcohol to everybody who showed up 2 years and up, and we issued them a license again and it did the same thing,
Yeah.
and something bad happened, we're gonna be, called into the lawsuit because why didn't you police your vendor, if you will? But the fact that they're responsible, we would have general liability for the premises, which we have already and we're covered. From an overall liability management point of view, this is actually a better solution than having the license ourselves, because we're not going to be held accountable for over serving, for example, that kind of stuff.
Right, that's on them.
We do still police the area. We have plenty of people in uniform. And the sheriff, I think this last year had a larger presence than we've seen recently. And so that helps minimize the liability from our point of view. But the fact that we would allow someone else to run the alcohol portion of the event does not increase our liability unless we're grossly negligent.
Okay, good. I just wanted to confirm that, that's all.
I just want to make another, I don't know if you have anything to,
I just have one
Say-
quick question.
go ahead and I'll ask my last question.
So the individuals having events will get a temporary license, just like they've continued to do, correct?
They don't get a license. They're not required to have a license.
Permit, right?
A permit. and they wouldn't have a permit. They would just be able to bring their alcohol. So if it's a birthday party, they can bring their own alcohol onto the grounds. They just have to have the alcohol coverage on their event insurance. And so that's, to kind of answer your question as well, that was a little bit of the problem we were having. We held the liquor license, and so when we would rent it, there were some individuals who may have put that they weren't going to have alcohol on the grounds. And when I would return on Monday, it was apparent that there was alcohol. And that's where the conflict would come in, because they technically were responsible for the grounds alcohol-wise, because we hold that license. And we have to be the ones controlling that. And that wouldn't allow renters to bring their own alcohol on the grounds. And so dropping it, we don't hold that liability, and it turns to them, the renter consumes all responsibility and liability. I just make sure that if they are gonna have alcohol, it's on their insurance, but they don't need a permit. Something like if we're bringing in someone to sell liquor, at that point, yes, they would need a license, a permit to sell. And if they're a nonprofit, government agency, and I can't think of the other one off the top of my head, they can apply for a temporary.
Perhaps like the Lions Club at the fair.
Yes, yeah, they
Apply
applied.
for one then.
They applied for one, yes,
But if a wedding reception comes in for the evening, then they just put it on their insurance.
correct, yes.
Sounds good.
I have one last question. You mentioned that there wasn't an issue or anything with carding those folks with their driver's license or whatever for age. Is it a routine? I don't know how we used to handle it, but is it a routine that you just card everybody? Like, when you go to Walmart and you go buy a 12-pack of beer and you're 75 years old or whatever, they still card you. Are we still doing that? Are we telling the Lions Club that they should be carding everybody?
So it's good practice, and it's what you should do. That's when you go through the training, that's what you're trained to do. Now, for other businesses, I can't speak for them, but maybe they're just not, making the proper steps that they need to make on checking every ID. But I do know that I seen the Lions Club there, and they were carding everyone, even if they looked 70 years old.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to just double check, because I think it's a good practice that we do that. That way it doesn't come back and haunt us. Yeah,
I think what we can do, certainly, for example, let's say we have 3 or 4 people who want to bid for that opportunity this year. One of the questions we could ask is your practice to card everybody? And in terms of strictly managing our liability, having asked the question and let them know that that is important to us, and documenting that, we've
Yeah.
covered that aspect of it. Could somebody fake ID, come in looking much older than they are? Those things happen.
yeah.
But we would do all that we could. But part of the upside to doing it this way is that responsibility shifts primarily to them as well.
Okay. All right.
Sounds
Well,
good.
If there's no more questions or anything, I entertain for motion.
I move that we approve the surrender of the Greenlee County Fairgrounds held liquor license.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none, I call for vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Item B, Justine.
So I also wanted to offer some potential road names. As part of the fairground expansion project, we are working on developing a new entrance and exit road to the fairgrounds. Last year at the fair, we actually used those roads. And so about a month or so ago, part of the process in doing that is filling out permits for ADOT. And our county engineer emailed our development team requesting suggestions to name the roads that we are developing. after giving some thought to the names and to reflect history, some names that were suggested is Rodeo Way and Legacy Lane. Rodeo Way represents the strong Western heritage, rodeo traditions, agriculture, and community events that have long been a part of the fairgrounds. Legacy Lane honors the generations of families, volunteers, ranchers, and community members whose contributions help shape the fairgrounds into what it is today while preserving those traditions for future generations. And just to give you a visual of what roads, so Rodeo Way would be that entrance, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong on where that exit road will come out. I don't know if that was correct, but that was my
It'll be a little bit different.
little bit different, but it's
It's awfully close.
Yeah.
okay. I wasn't sure, and I said, well, somebody will correct me, but
You're
either way, it will be coming onto Highway 75. And just a little background on where I kind of came up with those names. So I read an article, and it talked about the early days of the fair and Greenlee County in general, and how cattle ranching has always been a pillar that has shaped Greenlee County. Granted, the mine was probably the main thing that shaped Greenlee, but it played a role in it. And when the fairgrounds was developed, there was nothing more but a few buildings for exhibits and livestock, a racetrack, and a grandstand. And throughout the years, horse racing is what brought a lot of people to the fairgrounds and made it what it is today. But as generations evolve, interests shift, some sports fade out and new ones come about. And so, in that, the project of the fairgrounds, we no longer have a good portion of the racetrack, but rodeos is now, this day, what brings a lot of those communities together. And so that's where Rodeo Way came from. Now, Legacy Lane, I read another article when I started at the fairgrounds, and I didn't have access to it anymore. I can see it on our county website, but for some reason it doesn't pop up. But it talked about when the fairgrounds was first, the land was actually purchased. So it was vacant land that the county was interested in purchasing to host community celebrations, which to this day is now our county fair. And when you reflect on what the property started out with, each generation of employees, leaders, supervisors, volunteers, families, anyone who played a part in the fair each year made it what it is today. And I like to think of our development team, some of the new projects we're working on with the ball fields. It's almost like each generation has left a legacy when they either retired or moved on. And so that's where that name came from. And we were just wanting your thoughts and feedback and permission to move forward with approving the names, I'm assuming. We had them checked. The names aren't currently being used. We had Hayden LaFoy from the engineer's office check into that, and they were both good to go, so.
Well, I've had conversation with Justine over this. She sent those to me, and I'm totally in favor of that. So that's my 2 cents.
No, it was great.
That's
It's a great,
awesome.
great article out of that 1967. There was a lot of reading getting to the point, but it was well worth
Yes.
the reading to get through that. So
Yeah, it's
no, I
kind of neat. It gives you a good visual of
yeah.
what was happening back in the day.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, if I might clarify, this shows, partial payment that even as we speak or tomorrow morning, that will be chip sealed. The legacy goes down past the secondary arena and loops around the bottom part. Your intention was to name that entire stretch.
Yes, correct. Yeah, yes.
Back over to the barns is where it kind of ends.
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect.
yeah.
I think it's wonderful.
How about you, Will?
I like it. I like the name Rodeo Way. Stays with the theme and the legacy. Very good.
All right.
All right,
If-
well-
If nobody,
I
okay.
move that we improve the names Rodeo Way and Legacy Lane for the newly constructed roads at the Greenlee County Fairgrounds.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered.
Good work.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you,
Excellent.
Justine. Very
Good
good.
job. Okay, our next item of business is
C,
C.
information, yeah.
Informational only.
Yeah, so I wanted to just give an update of the 2026 County Fair. This year, the fair will be held September 17th through the 20th. The Governor's Advisory Committee funding has already been secured, I believe. In January, we received it. The theme of the fair this year will be Let the Good Times Grow. Our permits, I have submitted our permit to the State Fire Marshal's office for our special event permit and tent permit. We did have a little complications with the tent permit again this year, so Tony Hines is working on different anchoring methods. I also received the application for ADOT for the parade. And this year, we will have a small change in the parade. We're going to try to move it to Thursday in hopes to increase our participation with businesses. I feel that on a Thursday, most businesses are in operation versus Saturday. So we'll see how that goes. And hopefully we get a good turnout. Entertainment this year, we didn't move far from what it was last year. I think last year went well. Sun Valley Rides will be our carnival again this year. However, this year he will operate Thursday through Saturday. On Sunday, if he was going to operate the carnival, he did ask for an additional $5,000. And so I spoke with our administration, and we decided that Sunday we may not use that as an operational day. I think we still have room to build Thursday through Saturday, and hopefully in the future we can rebuild Sunday to be an operational day. If I'm keeping all of our entertainment, our other entertainment there, of course, that comes with additional cost as well. And that doesn't include our staffing. So if we can get our numbers up, last year, I want to say we had a total of 718 people attend on Sunday, and the majority of those were people coming in to get their livestock, and the buyers coming in to pick up animals. So we'll evaluate that again this year and see, how we'll move forward in the following year. We will have the National Intercollegiate Rodeo again this year. Slash M will bring in the rough stock, which he was the individual who did last year as well. Opening the rodeo Friday night will be Miss Teresa Campbell, and also we will introduce the Greenlee County royalty. We will have mutton busting, the neon foam party again, a cornhole tournament, and this year, just to kind of go with our theme of Let the Good Times Grow, we'll be bringing in some rather large guests. Their name is Dino Crew, and they look like life-size dinosaurs. And so they put on some shows. They have some sensory bins and educational models for people to come and look at. So the band will be on Friday night. The band's name is The Band. They're out of Las Cruces, and they play a mix of genre. Their genre is a mix of music. And on Saturday, we have Elijah Ezekiel, and he plays Tejano music. As far as vendors and exhibitors, we will move forward with the exhibitors as we did last year's. We'll hit the schools hard at the start of the school year. Vendor applications have been posted. As far as our livestock groups, we will still just be responsible for ribbons, some buckles, and bringing Valley Telecom in to live stream the shows. Law enforcement will serve as our crowd control. We will reach out to search and rescue again to be potential parking assistant or attendants. Our first aid station will be monitored by Gila Valley Resources. And while we are government property, so we fall under the State Fire Marshal's office, and so they should be the ones to come out. But I've also notified Duncan Fire Chief Hayden Boyd, in case they don't show up, we have someone there to kind of do a walkthrough for us. And again, the bar services, the ROI for the bar services has been posted, and hopefully by next month, we will have the temporary job postings, temporary job listing posted. So that's all I have. Questions?
Wow.
Great work.
You know, I gotta say something, that this is a breath of fresh air to have you tell us everything that's gonna happen over at that fairgrounds for our fair, because in the past, you know, it was hit and miss on whether we were gonna have a carnival, whether we were gonna do this, whether we were gonna do that. You got all your ducks in a row, Justine, and sheesh, I need to applaud you for such a excellent show, you know, and I know that it's going to be a big success based on what you just mentioned, because it seems like you've got it all together, you've got it all scheduled, and thank you, and whoever helped you, if you had any help to do all this, thank you for what you've done here.
And
Appreciate it.
applaud you for having it in May. Excellent work.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We are still working on maybe 3 contracts. I know they're guaranteed, they're just working on getting it over to me, but we do have a large percentage of our contracts already being reviewed, and so hopefully by next board meeting, I can have them on the agenda, so.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Great,
All right.
great
Still
work.
looking at approximately 16 rides or 18 or?
Yeah, last year I believe there was 14, and we should have around that.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Good
I
job.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Great work.
Yeah. Keep it up.
Have a good day.
Okay. All right, we will move into our next item of business. Reed Larson, County Engineer. We scratched 5A and we're going to 5B.
I should table 5A.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. You're gonna table it.
I move that we table agenda item 5A until a future meeting.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. So ordered. It's tabled. Item B.
Good morning, gentlemen. I've decided when I grow up, I want to be just like Justine. If I can get some attaboys, attagirl, whatever. No, it really is a treat to work with her. She's very much on the ball.
Yeah.
Man.
Great leader.
Yeah.
5B is, we've had some very recent conversations with with ADOT at our airport, specifically our grant manager. And ADOT is very aware that our airport is unclassified and that disqualifies our airport from a lot of types of funding. ADOT administers the APMS, Airport Pavement Management System. And they made Derek and me aware very recently of some money that was available that they proposed to spend at our airport on our taxiway. And I talked to our airport consultant, Dibble, and they see no downside to this. The typical match is 10%, and ADOT is proposing to send this grant money our way with a 5% match. And they actually very recently added another component to it. There was an exhibit in your packet, hopefully. But portions of our taxiway would receive either, there's a component for a 2.5-inch mill and fill, a component for a 1-inch mill and fill, And then the rest of the taxiway would get just a seal coat, which is just kind of like painting your house to protect the siding on your house. That's what the seal coat does for the pavement underneath. And all together, our local share would be right at $82,000, and the total cost of the project would be $1.6 million. And again, the beauty of these APMS grants is that ADOT pays for all of the design work and for the construction administration, and so our 5% match goes only to the construction cost itself.
That's good.
Yeah. Great. Anybody have any questions?
No.
No. Looks like quite a job for that portion of a match. It's a great deal.
Yeah.
Only the 5%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, if there's no questions, I entertain for motion.
Well, I move that we approve to accept the ADOT Airport Pavement Management System grant for repaving the airport taxiway that will cover 100% of design and construction administration costs and 95% of the construction costs, with a 5% match to not exceed $82,000.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it, so ordered. You know, thank you, Reed, for this. I know that, I don't know how long ago, but they had, because I guess they monitor how many planes actually land there, is what brought in some of the monies to work on that airport. And that's been for quite some time, several years, that was eliminated, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do monitor that. They monitor it's called a fixed base aircraft also, so how many aircraft we have that make their home there at the airport. And we have a grand total of 2 at the moment, which is a very low number compared to other airports in the state.
Yeah, and I
But
guess.
about what we've had for many, many years. I mean, I don't know that we've ever had more than 2, but. Okay.
I guess the biggest benefactor out of this is FMI, how they're the ones that usually land down there and everything. I know back in the day, Southwest Gas used to come in for an annual party here in Greenlee County, and they used to land there. But that all ended quite some time ago, but yeah.
Well, last month I had to charter a plane and get a guy from Phoenix to here within hours, like a few hour window. And so, I mean, he landed there in a private jet, so.
To bring a part or to come?
Just to bring this guy who knew, he was a specialist and he was in Phoenix, and I'm like, get to the airport, just step on the plane, it's all taken care of, and they landed right there. We had somebody waiting there when he landed and drove him up. He worked for 8 hours up the mine, and then he went back and flew him back. So that was a expensive trip, but I guess well worth it because he got it fixed. So, but
Great. Okay, thanks, Reed. We'll go into item C.
Item C is we're making slow progress with our new public works building, and this item before you is to consider to go out to not go out to bid, to solicit proposals to supply and install chain link fencing there at the public works facility. As you'll recall, in years past, Freeport used that area of the campus as a parking area, and then they would bus employees over the mine. So we're building that new building within that area, and we need to make tweaks to the fencing to accommodate a new turnout off of 78 and other adjustments to the yard there to separate the public from our work areas in the back. And also Tony and David Manus are interested in separating employee parking from the work area where the county vehicles and equipment would park.
Okay. All right, anybody have
I
any questions?
don't have any questions right now. Sounds great. We're looking for a motion?
I am.
I move that we grant permission to procure the purchase and installation of chain link fencing at the new Public Works facility by obtaining quotes and/or soliciting bids.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion?
No, sir?
I just have a comment. I hope that we can find somebody that can handle the job on that chain link fence.
Yeah,
Seems
Have you
like,
had any interest on that? I guess you'll be looking for interest on that, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And I think we'll get some local participation.
okay,
And reach out if you need others, so.
all right, so, motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered.
Thank you.
Okay, item D. Read.
Item D, we came to you back in January. You may or may not remember this. I remember it. To go to bid or to solicit proposals for various aspects of construction for the Public Works building. And recently, Tony and Mr. Manus and myself met with some local contractors, and to be blunt and short, they said, you're doing this in a very stupid way by separating out all of these trades, all of these subsets of the work, and hiring contractor A to do this part and contractor B to do this part. And they strongly recommended that we consolidate all of that work under a general contractor and pursue the work that way. And so that's what we've done. And the specification that we provided to you for review and that we will give to bidders, potential bidders, is what we call a performance specification, as opposed to a method spec or a cookbook spec. And the benefit of that performance specification is that we don't have to have the expertise to define the work down to the infinite detail. Instead, we place that responsibility on the proposer, on the party with the expertise. And so we're defining an outcome for that building and allowing them to decide how they'll get to that outcome.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions, concerns?
No?
No?
Okay, so we'll entertain for motion.
I move that we approve to go out to bid for interior build-out of the new Public Works facility as presented.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered.
Thank
you,
Reed.
Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Larson.
Okay, we'll move into our next item of business. Derek Rapier, County Administrator, and Renee Ontiveros, Chief Financial Officer. The floor is yours.
I'm simply going to try to pull up. There we go. Regarding the distribution of secure rural schools, at our last meeting, we talked about how we've come to understand better the effect of SRS on our PILT distribution, and it's a dollar-for-dollar reduction, so it makes more sense to pass that money through. We did so 2 weeks ago on the FY25 distribution, I think it was the next day or 2 days later, we received the FY '26 distribution. It's substantially higher than in '25, but the dynamics don't change. And so the letter that was attached, or the memo attached to your agenda item sets out how that would be distributed according to the same formula we've used in the past, with just a nominal amount retained by the county. But that would be updated numbers for the FY '26.
That's good.
Okay. For a total of $648,275.71. Okay.
And the motion, perhaps to be clear, would state the total amount, the amount to go to each district and to the county.
In the motion, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Entertain for motion.
I move that we distribute the Secure Rural, the SRS funds, Secure Rural Schools funds, for fiscal year 2025, in the amount.
26.
In the amount of $648,275.71, in which $5,000 will go to the Eagle Creek School District, $40,000 to the Blue School District, $100 to the Greenlee County Road Fund, the remaining funds of $603,175.71, $422,223 will go to the Morenci Union School District, and $180,952.71 to go to the Duncan Unified School District.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay, thank you, Derek. We'll move into our next item of business. Derek Rapier, County Administrator.
Regarding an IGA with Duncan. We began our chip sealing project for the year last week. They've already covered the Franklin Road, the Fairgrounds Road, they're working on McCarty Flat Road. McCarty Flat Road. I've never been told my voice didn't carry till now. I guess it won't carry clear across Greenlee County. And then they'll be working on the interior grounds of the Fairgrounds Road that we just named today. But as part of this, the town of Duncan approached us and said, hey, we have some areas of road. We will do all the prep work. We will compensate you so there's no cost to the county. And so we agreed if the board approves this, essentially you can see the estimated cost of a little over $71,000. You'll notice in the subsequent clauses that should the cost actually exceed that the town of Duncan will cover those additional costs. They have the money in a grant that they've already received to pay those additional costs and the basic cost of the contract. Long and short, we charge them the same rate that we would charge for disaster relief, which is called the FEMA rate, the Federal Emergency Management rate. And then we bill them for our actual employees who are on the job, plus the cost of their employee-related benefits. So we're out nothing except time. But this is what we do this time of year, and so we've got our crews out there working. It's been going pretty well. They've had a couple of snags, which is normal every year, but on the whole, it's been going quite well. So we would begin that project for the town of Duncan next week. The town council will consider the same question on Thursday of this week.
Okay.
And one more thing before we end, I met with both managers and began a conversation with the town of Clifton manager as well, and let her know that if they have projects, we don't do pavement, we do chip sealing, and they're fundamentally different. And a lot of Clifton's roads are paved as opposed to chip seal, but I let her know that as we rotate through and we're back up at the north end of the county, that if there are partnerships that make sense for both parties, we're open to those partnerships. So we would certainly extend that to them as well.
That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I move that we enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the town of Duncan to chip seal the identified town roads and streets.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion? Hear none, I call for vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Thank you, Derek. Okay, we're now to item 8. Again, Derek Rapier and Bianca, the floor is yours.
I'm going to cover something that's fairly familiar to us. We review this every month. I colored the 613 up here, so we can make this bigger, in pink as opposed to the normal blue where I highlight this month's revenues. And that's primarily because that's likely a low figure. We get a distribution notice from the Department of Revenue that tells us the entire amount of revenue we get. Renee gets postings of how much cash we get. So some of the bills that we owe to the state, for example, like All-Tex or out-of-county tuition, they simply withhold it. So they pay their bill before we ever get our money. This 613 is a rounded number. It's not exact, and it accounts for the withholdings. The number we usually post in this chart does not. And why is that? Because those costs are already baked into our budget. So that 613 is probably a little bit low, but you can see the trend is unmistakable. It has been good. I have filled in this quarterly chart that becomes more relevant as we're in the budget season. But you can see the trend over the last year has been upward each of the 4 quarters. That 613 represents only April's distribution. So, and like I say, that will tick up. But you can see as well down here that this 591 actual average, that's what we're actually getting on average, versus the projected of 450 is substantially above. The fundamentals we see right now suggest that we can edge that up a bit on our projections for the coming fiscal year. Certainly to the 500,000 mark, we feel comfortable with, and we could probably even go above that. But as we've always taken a conservative approach to our revenues, and thereby budget our expenses underneath that, we think that's still the safest way to go. As we point out down here, we expect essentially 1.7 million in excess shared sales tax. When we say excess, that's simply the amount we received over the amount we projected. One of these days, we'll use the excess money and we'll buy a really good crystal ball, and we'll get this a lot more exact. But for now, I'd rather have this be a positive number than a red number. But when you combine that with our county sales, half-cent sales tax, we're basically 1.7, almost 1.8 over. As we pivot over to the county shared sales tax, this does not have withholdings coming out of it, because this is locally generated. The tax base is a little bit different. Does not include severance tax, for example. But again, we're seeing a strong upward tick, and this is an actual number. Is this correct, Renee? Yeah. And so again, we're 85,000 over projection for the year. You can see a distinct trend in this revenue flow as well over the quarters. So we're looking at about $7,000 on average that we're receiving over projection. That one's obviously much better. We projected this one much closer. 7,000 in a budget of our size is not much. But again, it's always better when you're 7,000 above than 7,000 below your projection. So the good news is, as we've tried to put together our budgeting, and we've asked that our budget work session be postponed because there's a lot of moving parts, some of which we just began to tackle yesterday. We're still meeting with some of our department heads and electeds. One of the big ones is we need to consider the vehicle request purchases. And others, our sheriff has been very active in grants, and that's going to affect some of our budgeting going forward, especially depending how confident we feel that we'll receive those grants. And he's been doing a lot of work on that to nail that down. But let me shift to the other half of the story that has made budgeting this year, difficult to say the least.
Is it security?
Uh,
Picture?
It's this picture. This was published this morning at 8:30 Eastern time.
Whoa.
Anybody shocked by that great big black or dark blue line in the middle? That's what's causing us issues. And you'll see, and I'll turn to another chart here in just a second. Inflation for all items, that red line on the left is being pushed up, but this is your entire economy. This is mattresses, tires, dishwashers, anything you can think of. That's the entire thing. They do a lot of analysis where they take the entire economy and pull out food and fuel. And part of the reason is those are probably two of the most volatile aspects of any economy. Fuel, as we know, has jumped up 50% over in just the last 4 months, from February to today. I've been doing a lot of reading about when people think prices will begin to come down. And I imagine if we did it in the room here like we did with just the three of us, I simply said, okay, when do you, one, think the war will end, and two, when do you think prices will come down? And even just between Austin and Renee and I, we were all over the map. And my guess is if we asked around the room or we asked a sample size of 100 people, it may end tomorrow, it may end a year from now. It may never end. I don't know.
That's where that crystal ball would come into play.
I know. And if you see one on Amazon that really has a good rating, you let me know. But that uncertainty regarding fuel, let me share a couple other things with you real quickly. Hope I can get this to come up right.
Oh, but when it goes down, it's gonna be lower than it's ever been.
It might be.
Oh, my God.
I pulled a couple of things up just for illustrative purposes. Let's see if I can get it to. I'm struggling to maneuver well today.
That's what we're being told, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the headline for the Associated Press. This is post-pandemic. This is what happens when you have an economic shock like the pandemic, and then you address that shock by flooding the economy with cash. You recall we were all getting checks. We were buying everything from, like, say, new furniture to whatever, and the economy was just flooded with cash. And this is what happens to inflation when they call it the M1 money supply, but when you punch all kinds of spendable cash into the economy, people spend it. And it not only buoyed the economy, but it also raised the economy well above, I mean, it was on high burn, high octane. So it came back down, and by the end of 24, we were starting to approach pre-pandemic levels. But then we have government shutdown, so we don't have numbers. But the other thing with the government shutdown is it began to introduce, in a big way, uncertainty. You saw this with TSA, you saw it with the Secret Service and so forth. A lot of that doesn't necessarily touch on us, except when you want to fly or something like that. And then on the heels of the government shutdown, we have this war. And you can see that inflation's ticking up here. Let me switch. It's starting to hit. This is a headline from today's Arizona Republic. Job market continues to cool. Last month, we lost 10,000 jobs, whereas normally in the month of April, we gained 10,000 jobs. Actually, that may be measuring March. And it goes through and does some analysis, things we should be watching for and so forth. There's never been an economy that always goes up. Over time, it does. But there's ups and downs, and we're starting to see that play out. So we saw this chart. Let me pivot to this one real quick. Let's see if I can get rid of that. Here is that 3.8. What does that mean? A year ago, the overall all items are 3.8% more expensive today than they were 12 months ago. But if you look at the monthly numbers, you could make the argument that inflation has cooled. And I'm not sure how to make that bigger, but that's 0.6. March was 0.9. So it went up almost an entire percentage point in a single month in March. Again, where's the leader? You look at food. This is food that you purchase at home. This would be your grocery bill. It's up 0.7% in a single month. On the year, it's up not quite 3%. If you go out to eat, it's actually been fairly steady. But on the whole, over the last year, it's 3.6%. The culprit, right in here, energy prices. And you're talking 29% increase in energy commodities. Energy overall is up 18%. And then you've got fuel oil, which doesn't really affect us. We're not a fuel oil economy. That's more of an East Coast thing. But how long does it take a 29% jack up in gasoline, which includes consumer diesel, before that starts hitting your broccoli bill and your, everything starts to go up? Those two factors, a very strong revenue picture and a very strong inflation picture, has made projection particularly difficult. We sat down last week and talked about, Renee had already made, I think it was a 10% increase across the board on fuel in each of our budgets. We may adjust that up again. Like I said, I spent about a day and a half last week reading anything I could find that was predicting when energy costs will go down. There's been some infrastructure damage in the Middle East as the neighbors all pummel one another. But most people are saying that we expect to see these prices persist through the end of the calendar year. And most are saying we're probably looking at least a full 12 months before we start to see energy prices abate. And that's assuming that hostilities calm soon. You probably all experience the same whiplash I do. You read something that says, well, they submitted a proposal, a counter proposal, and now it's all off. We're going to blow the whole place up, and we're going to blow you back up. And that's all within like a 3-hour span. So this is nothing new. It's just as we've seen the numbers, we knew this was coming. And as that fuel, that energy, in fact, this morning I read an article about what they call bulk sludge. I didn't know what it was. It's a very crude diesel that's very thick that they use for shipping in boats. That's starting to come in low supply. Jet fuel, particularly in Europe, is in low supply. It's what happens when you have an economy based largely on oil energy. So I simply share those things with you. The legislature the House has been released until June 7th. They could be called back any day. The Senate met yesterday, and I believe they have adjourned until June 7th as well. Why they insist on doing this last-minute dance, like they call a ball and they don't start the music till 11 o'clock, and no one gets on the floor till 11:40. But that's what we're in. And so they are slow-walking bills. There are some that will go up to the governor. Some of those are bills that they hope she'll sign. Some of those they know she won't sign, but they're going to put them up there so she can veto it. A lot of that's political. Supposedly the sides are usually the legislature and the governor, but as you remember last year, the House and the Senate were not on the same page till the last minute. The last two budgets have been resolved because they had some money to give out to everybody and say, here's so many dollars for your district and so forth. There aren't any of those dollars. We're in a deficit. And the Republicans are holding hard on full conformity with the federal tax code changes in the big beautiful bill. You paid your taxes this year based on full conformity. And so they've got probably the easier argument to make, but the governor has dug in her heels and said there are some things that we just can't afford. So the fact that we're in a deficit gives her some leverage. I'll be meeting some folks later this week and see if we can get any inside whispers of what's really happening, but right now we're in a holding pattern, which is the last thing that makes doing a county budget difficult. We don't know. We expect to have a lot more answers in a couple of weeks, but we're gonna dispense with the budget work session until we have at least some answers we can present to you and give you a clear picture of where we ought to go. We expect at this point to make some current fiscal year transfers to address some, in a sense, prepay some issues, and we'll have those teed up for you as well. So I'm sorry, I wish I had lots of good news, no inflation and good revenue and unicorns grazing in the pasture,
Mm,
Okay?
but we're not quite there.
no. It doesn't seem like we've been there in the last, 10 years, it seems.
It seems.
I mean, especially with the legislature. I mean, they seem to now wait until the very last absolute minute.
There was a thing, and of course, I've been doing this for a very, very long time. There was always been strong differences, but there was this statesmanship and congeniality that recognized that we can't fight forever. We have to find a budget solution. And when you see contention at the level it is throughout our society, this is what it looks like in an economy, it's what it looks like in the legislature, and it's what it looks like in a local budgeting
Yeah.
cycle. We get along, they should all come learn how to do it.
Wow.
Crazy.
Well, Derek, so you're done?
I'm done.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for all that gloom and doom information. Okay, Bianca, the floor is yours.
This Friday, the 15th, is county managers. Next Wednesday is Eco and Small Counties. Greenlee County will be hosting that dinner. The 21st, Thursday, CSA. Our offices are closed May 25th, Monday, Memorial Day. We will have our board meeting on Wednesday, the 27th. And that's all I have for the month of May.
So that board meeting that we moved from the 26th to the 27th of May, we had some discussion last meeting that whether we were gonna have it or not, but I guess probably with the situation with the budget and the work session that we canceled today, we will more than likely have that meeting that day, okay?
Yes.
All right, let it be known.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to put in May, I'm not sure about Duncan, but Morency's 8th grade promotion is on the 21st, Thursday the 21st, then high school graduation is the 22nd.
And I believe Duncan's are the same days.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Promotion and graduation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
June 2nd, our board meeting. On the 12th is county managers. Our second board meeting will be on June 16th. And we should be adopting a tentative budget that day. Our LNA test, where the Secretary of State does come to our county to test our machines for elections, for accuracy. That testing is Wednesday, the 17th at 11. Early voting starts June 24th, Wednesday. No small counties or eco for the month of June. That's all I have unless, for June, the board has anything else to add. July 2nd, our offices are closed. For Independence Day, July 14th will be our first board meeting, and we should be adopting our final budget at that meeting. Last day to vote early in person will be July 17th, Friday. Early voting is on election day is on July 21st, Tuesday. And then our second board meeting for the month will be July 28th.
Just the NACO annual conference is July 17th through the 20th.
17th through the 20th?
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything to add?
Nope.
I think there's a Seagull meeting coming up. I just got an email on it. I forgot exactly what day it is. It's gonna be at Graham County.
I believe it's,
It's on a Friday.
yeah,
Is it the 22nd of May?
it may be, we can find out, we'll make sure you know.
Okay, does anybody have anything else to add to the calendar?
No.
No.
All right. There none. Thank you, Bianca. We'll move into our next item of business, consent agenda. I entertain for motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay. We'll move into our last item of business, supervisor reports. Anyone have anything to report?
Well, just quickly, last week attended the Western Interstate Region Conference, and it was a great conference and really focused on two things that, you know, seems like a lot of counties are focused on now, and that's fire and water. Fire and reacting to that and being fire-wise and preparation, and then also the fight over water as to who gets it, and that's kind of like the same way everywhere. But anyway, it was a great conference. So.
And I to echo Supervisor Campbell, had the opportunity to attend some public lands meetings where they had discussions about water and the future plans with what they're trying to frame around. Nothing concrete yet. And then also the fires, and also had discussion with some of the challenges that counties are facing with catastrophic problems such as earthquakes, fires, tornadoes, floods. So it was very informational, and I was able to learn a lot. That's it for me.
Well, I ditto those comments, and I know one session that I sat in was having to do with the fires, with specifically fires. I know that we, as a county here, probably our biggest catastrophic event would be a flooding. Derek, do you remember how the county got involved in the '83 floods in Duncan and Clifton? I was in the middle of it with water up to my chest, mucking out gas meters and stuff, but I don't remember how the county got
And
involved.
rescuing people.
And rescuing people, yeah.
So I-
But I miss out on that.
A past employee from the recorder's office or something from North Clifton. I went and dragged her out of her house and threw her on my back, and here goes a guy down the roadway in a boat, going down the.
I for better or for worse, was not in the country in 1983. I was overseas on a mission for a church, and so I have only historical accounts. But I think the county generally, from what Kay has told me, tried to pitch in where they could, like with equipment to move, like we do when one of the local flooding happens. The thing that makes this really rough right now is that while we're in a drought, if we get forest fires like the Wallow Fire, and we are ripe. I mean, anybody who's driven up the trail lately can tell you the death rate on trees is bad. Mm-hmm. And if that should burn and a monsoon hits, then it all comes running downhill. And so more of a flash flood than our typical winter flooding like the '83 was. But they present just as many problems, and you don't know where they hit.
I remember that after the Wallow Fire. I mean, the ground was so scorched that any rain that came just came straight off the mountain, and
It didn't soak in at all,
no, not at all.
except it was black,
Yeah, that was,
ugly.
Yeah. You know, because in those sessions, it was emphasized that don't wait till it happens, be prepared prior. And I don't know if we ever have any deals, any sessions like that, and you know, to get prepared for something like that. So it might be something that we might want to.
Give some thought to. I know Matt is working on our emergency plan right now, and it's actually, we've contracted with a company that has helped us prepare that. But yes, that would be a good topic to bring up and discuss is how do we respond, what do we respond with, and what are our resources? The incident in Globe this year
Yeah.
is a stark reminder that it can hit without warning. And one of the things we'll talk to you about in budget is how we maybe put some money away against that day when it will happen. They're having to go out for a bond for $18 million to pay off their part of the disaster recovery.
Yeah.
It would take them 10 years to pay it off. So,
if I could add to my report, one, you know, as we talked about preparedness, and one thing that was big was communication piece, is that, you know, you don't think about that, but when something happens like that, you know, the devastating event, you know, it takes down a lot of the communication. And so you know, I want to talk about in our budget sessions or whatever, you know, these Starlinks, and Austin, I know you're big on that, but making sure that we have those available in the northern part of the county and the southern part of the county, so that we can have that communication piece and available. And so I'm going to have a conversation with Matt, because I made a lot of notes in those meetings to sit with Matt and kind of go over those things. But
we are so fortunate that in '83, when the wires went down, communication went down, and radios in this area, because the hills are always difficult. But yes, we have cell phones, we have Starlink available.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resources, but we need to make sure we have them, test them, use them. So yes, we will put that on the future. By confirmation, is CEGO 20 is on the 22nd at 10 a.m. at the Graham County General Services Building.
Second, yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Of May,
Okay.
correct?
that's all I've got.
All right, I guess that's it. So we are down to our last item of business. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.